Well, welcome to the Noblesville Trophy Sports Talk. I'm Perry Williams, and tonight as a guest, I got Coach Donna Buckley. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you. Good to be here.
One thing, happy birthday. Today's your birthday. And, of course, you always know when you have players on a team with Alexis Shannon and Caitlin O'Reilly, they get the word out pretty early that it's Coach's birthday. I noticed that on Twitter. They didn't waste any time.
They were on it with some really good picks. Some of my better ones, I have to say.
Yeah. Because sometimes they, they won't necessarily do the best pictures.
Oh, they were actually, they found out. Well, we steal their phone if they leave it around, and we just light it up with a ton of pictures. So we definitely, they have tons of pictures to choose from. So they had some fun with that today.
Well, let's talk a little bit about this season. We're because of playing in the Hall of Fame Classic and everything, we've already played 21 ball games. So
it's crazy.
So it's kind of crazy, and we still have games left. That's what's even crazier. And looking at the schedule, let's reflect on those first 21 games and on some of your thoughts, because let me ask you one question. Is it, last year you were the hunters, okay? I mean, you were after everybody, and but now this year, winning the first sectional in 19 years, people are hunting you. Is it different? I mean, or you just as a coach, being at it as long as you have and being successful as you have, it's just another season? Or
I mean, it's different, mostly for this team, because so many of them are new and young, and they don't realize that. I think of the Carmel game. I mean, you could just tell Carmel had that on their calendar. They were ready to come for us, and for our kids, that was different. It's always been the reverse, where Carmel, is like that game. You're like, we're gonna play Carmel, and I thought Westfield played that way as well, and we didn't match their intensity. So that's been good for us to learn those lessons and to hopefully learn that if you're going to be an elite team, you got to bring it, and people are going to be coming after you every game, and you better bring it every night.
Yeah, and of course, I have to commend you on the first game of the season, taking on Lawrence North, because that's a good basketball team, and
they're really good. I'll be honest, I agreed to that when I looked and saw how many seniors they graduated. I wasn't aware that they were
still loaded, right?
Well, yeah, all these kids that I wasn't anticipating ended up there. They ended up with a kid from Richmond who's really good. They have a freshman that could be Miss Basketball that's there that went to a different school and a middle school. So, yeah, I mean, they have the Harris kid, and the Dickerson kid has had a phenomenal year. She came back from her ACL, and it was just awesome. So, yeah, they're loaded. They're as good as anybody in the state. That was definitely a nice one to open with.
Yeah, and it was, coming off last year, because let's face it, that winning a sectional the first time in 19 years, that was definitely one of those Rocky Mountain highs for us, and it was a little bit different. And you're probably right. You could tell in both, because I broadcast both the Carmel and Westfield game, you could tell that they had circled that on that calendar, that they were going to show. But you get to play them again come sectional time, so they'll be here again in sectional time. The one thing about it, let's talk a little bit about these seniors, because you have 4 of them. 2 of them get a lot of notoriety, and Alexis Shannon and Caitlin O'Reilly, and just their personalities alone, they do have a lot of fun, and you watch those seniors, and what's the really great thing that I think that I can remember growing up in Noblesville in the 60s, when we had our great boys basketball teams, and how those players, maybe a little bit stretch calling them rock stars, but every kid wanted to, I can still hear, I'm 65 years old, and I can still remember that starting lineup and all those guys. And Caitlin and Alexa are the same way. I mean, kids flock to them. Those 4th, 5th, 6th grade kids, I mean, they're I mean, they just want to touch them. I mean, they
Yeah.
they just want to give them 5. What about these seniors? What they really meant to you, because they've really been the back. Those two and a couple girls you graduated last year have really been the backbone of your program here.
Well, this senior class is really, they're an amazing group of kids, and, all 4 of them have their role, and they do it really well. And all 4 of them really have taken on just what it means to be leaders, and talking about like rock stars. I mean, they really are to so many of these young kids. And I've never had a group of kids that put time in. We literally won our sectional last year. These kids, I'm sure, were up really late, and I didn't know about this, but the next morning they got up and went and had breakfast with like a 6th grade Indy Hoops team to send them off to go play in their tournament. And Haley stayed after several times this fall and helped coach an Indy Hoops team, and Rachel. All these kids are so involved with the young kids and understand that just creating an excitement and helping these kids develop fundamentals is what has made us a really good basketball program. And they are an absolute, everything you would want in kids, and what you want your role models to be. What's amazing about them is they're 90 and 21 in their time here, have a chance for back-to-back 21 seasons, all these accolades, everything that's come their way. And we were giving them a hard time. Their lowest GPA is 3.5.
Wow.
They are smart kids. They do things the right way. I never stress about, I'm going to get that call of, hey, guess what these guys did? They're, you just don't worry about them. They're awesome kids. And all these little kids do love them. If you stand over and watch us before we run out, they're all over there hugging them, and it's just so cool. And when to sit back and watch that, it's just really neat. And when they coach those kids, whether it's in Indy Hoops or we have like an in-house league that we run, and they do the coaching, just to listen to them with the kids, and they're really trying to tell them the right things, and it's just awesome to see the impact that they've had on our program and really this community. They're great kids and have really been embraced by everybody in the community.
The one thing you were saying there about, we sometimes forget these kids are students too, okay? And for them to have a GPA like that, it shows their dedication. And, Jim and I can speak to this because we get to the gym early and we see them, before the game, hour and a half before the game. But, you'll see times when some of your players are up in the corner of the gym sitting on the bleachers with their books out. They got some homework. They know that they got to play a game because the girls program's a little bit different. They don't normally get to play all the Friday, Saturday night games. Okay, so you play those Tuesday, Wednesday games, and they're school the next day. So it's amazing the hard work that they put together, and especially those 4 seniors.
Oh yeah, and just everything that they do. They've played 21 games already. You're on the road. We had a stretch where we had a home game on Friday against Brownsburg. Saturday they go to Warsaw, and then you turn around and you got Carmel on Tuesday. You got to have your homework done. Physically, you're also in a weights class. All of our kids do weights. Emily, Caitlin, and Alexis all are in a swim class. So these kids are physically putting so much into other things besides just basketball, and then mentally and emotionally. It's a lot on them, and like I said, they've handled it really well. And like I said, it really is. It's amazing when you look at, like I said, their GPA, everything that they do. It's like I said, you couldn't ask for better kids.
And the one thing coming in with those 4 seniors, I thought with Alexa and KO, we knew what we had. Okay, they both were junior Indiana All-Stars, which probably in your career, you've won over 200 games and you've been some great places, but I doubt if you've ever had teams that have 2 girls that could possibly be on an Indiana All-Star team. That just doesn't happen. And those 2 are like bookends. But the one thing that I really felt that I have really been impressed all year long is the role Haley Conway has played all season long. She knows her role. She comes in there. She gets her rebound. She does her job. She's very confident this year in what she does, and that's an amazing thing because we knew Rachel. Rachel Shipman, when she hits the threes, and she'll get on a string, and the sky's the limit with her. Okay, but I've been very, very impressed with Conway and her play this season.
She's played great, and she's such a wonderful kid.
Oh, yeah.
And, she is a kid that in my first few years, she would have started, easily. We didn't have very many bigs. We didn't have a lot of depth. And, unfortunately for her, she's playing behind a bunch of D1 kids. And, like I said, she handles it really well. She's a kid that's going to come in and give you minutes and rebound and do whatever you need her to do. I thought last night at Kokomo, she played really well defending. And, like I said, just getting some rebounds for us. We dominated the paint last night. And, like I said, she's just maybe an unheralded kid because she's quiet too, all those things. But like I said, she's played a great role, and Rachel obviously has too. Tremendous shooter, probably is clutch in terms of 10 seconds or less. That kid's gonna knock down shots. She's done it her entire career. She has a knack for buzzer beaters, and like I said, a great shooter. She's tied the school record twice with 5 threes, and like I said, they're just great. They fit well together.
Yeah, absolutely, and of course, Emily Kaiser coming back this year as a freshman. She was behind Aaron Wood all season long, got a lot of minutes playing time this year, last year, and now this year's really coming her own. Probably if you didn't have, most teams would be building their team around
absolutely
her now, and Emily and
well, yeah, she's a kid that you're going to hear more and more about as we graduate some of these older kids. She's fantastic, and sometimes I don't think she realizes how good she could be. I have to get on her to be a little more selfish sometimes because she wants to pass, and but yeah, she's long, she can defend, she's just a really, really talented kid. Like I said, in any other year I've ever been coaching, she's going to average probably 25 a game. She's so talented. But yeah, you'll definitely I think everybody has caught on to who Emily is. I thought she played so well in the Hall of Fame tournament and has really started to come on. And she's been a double kid for us really through most of the back half of the season. So she's a fun kid too. You talk about personality. This team, oh my goodness, they've got a lot of personality. That girl's a goofball. She's a goofball. But like I said, they're definitely, they work hard. And then like I said, they're all great role models.
Well, let's take a break, and we'll be back in a couple minutes, and we'll talk more with the birthday girl, Coach Donna Buckley. We'll be right back.
When Margaret and I decided to sell the old estate here, we had only one choice in signage: Logan Street signs and banners. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore, but rather located on 10th Street on the south side of Noblesville. Well, we sold the old beauty, and we were able to buy this wonderful estate. And we had so much money left over, I was able to buy this beautiful 1968 Eldorado Cadillac for Margaret. Only 472,000 miles. Margaret loves it because it's got those big seats and that heavy-duty suspension to support her svelte frame. Next time you're looking for signs or banners, call old Jim at Logan Street Signs and Banners, 773-7200. Conveniently not located on Logan Street anymore.
Everyone knows it's easy to find first-run movies in the big theaters. But where can you go to watch your favorite classic movies on the big screen for the perfect night out? Why rent a flick when you can rent the entire theater? Call today to reserve our 32-seat theater for your next event, or just stop by to see what's showing this weekend. The 14 by 7 foot screen and the high quality digital surround sound system offers all the amenities you would expect from the big theaters, with a laid back atmosphere and comfortable seating of your own home. Wofford Theater at 1744 South 10th Street in Noblesville gives you the classic movies you want with a big theater experience.
Well, Coach, we're back here on this second session of the show. Let's talk about, before we get going and talking about Mount Vernon coming up here and the rest of the schedule, you have to be excited tonight with the way your program's rolling. I mean, you got 3 varsity freshmen on the varsity. Okay, your JV and your freshmen are playing pretty good basketball. So the program's has a very, very good future, especially when you have Emily Kaiser as only a sophomore. Okay, that will be back, and you have some good freshmen that are playing for you this season on the varsity, and have got some good minutes. So you have to be excited about tonight. East and West middle school games tonight. The girls are matching up tonight, and I know you're excited about some of those kids over there in that middle school because the one thing I don't think people realize that you spend a lot of time with the middle school kids. I mean, they hang around and they're involved in your practices and in the off season and stuff like that. So you keep a pretty good track on what you got coming up, and I think it's a pretty good group.
Yeah, they're really talented. They're we definitely very good freshman class, and then obviously that 8th grade class coming is good, and we have some really good kids coming on in lower grades. But yeah, we have some good size in that.
And another Kaiser.
Oh, there's another Kaiser. I know, right? Yeah, absolutely. It's like the Kane family. This is the first year in my 8 years that I haven't had a Kane.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
now we got a Kaiser clan, and they're definitely, that group's good. There's I don't know if you know the Etchisons, and they've got a daughter coming through, and so there's just a lot of really good size. There's good guard play, and we got a little of everything with that group. So we're excited. So we've got a kid. She's probably, I don't know how, Devin's maybe 6'1" now as an 8th grader. So there's really good size, and obviously the younger Kaiser Anna is coming along. Abby Haley, really good guard. If you saw her, you'd probably think KO Alexis. She's got the braids. She's got knee pads. She is like a little mini-me of them, and really talented, handles the ball well. And there's several others in that group that are really, really talented. We're excited about them. And like I said, East-West, our coaches do a great job there and are getting them ready for us. And like I said, obviously our freshman class is talented. We also have, Brooke and Emily coming back to go with all those guys,
right.
along with Sam Solomon and some of those other kids. So we really we feel like our future is really bright.
Yeah, because it's kind of interesting, and I'm sure you didn't have it at Greenfield Central, but now you got 2 middle schools feeding into your program's got to be great, because when you're talking about 8th grade, those 8th graders, you got 20, 25 girls that are going to play a lot of basketball as 7th and 8th graders. That it's got to be great for you as a coach, because you never know how kids are going to mature or how they're going to grow. Or, I don't want to keep bringing up the Kaisers, but we spend a lot of time with the Kaisers and being around Anna, and compared to what she was last year, height-wise, as a 7th grader, and now you have to look over there twice and think, is that Emily sitting over there? No, it's Anna. I mean, she not quite as tall as Emily, but she's shooting up there. So that's kind of.
Oh yeah, middle school, you never know. I remember I hadn't seen Anna for a month or so, and all of a sudden she walked. I didn't even recognize her.
Yeah, that was the way with me.
She had a growth spurt really hard. She's gotten tall, and you don't know in middle school. Like Erin Wood, for example, played B team basketball, and all of a sudden her body, everything just came together for her skill. And I had a kid at Greenfield that was she didn't make the A team until her 8th grade year. She was just a really good athlete, and then all of a sudden it came together. She ended up playing at Evansville on a full ride, and in girls basketball you never know. So to have kids in 2 different schools playing, it's great, because you have so much development and a chance to, like I said, find all kinds of kids who can contribute at different levels.
Yeah, one thing about it is, Coach, this year you got your over 200 victories now as a head coach, and now you even got one of your old players coaching with you now, so that's kind of interesting. And then you got over 100 wins this year as the Noblesville Millers, so that's great. So congratulations to that. Now let's talk a little bit about obviously this season. We've lost 4 games, and knowing you didn't want to lose any. I mean, that happens, but you didn't want to lose any games, and you have a lot of talented players. what are some of the things the Millers got to do better to reach their goals? Because I'm sure it's one thing is to win that Hoosier Crossroad Conference, which you need a little help from Southeastern on here next weekend, and those kind of things. But you got sectional coming up, and two of those opponents you played, beat you in the regular season. So all those things are. What do the Millers got to do individually and as a team to get to that level?
We just got to do the little things a little better, and really, I can handle losing, which I hate losing, but I can handle losing if you learn from it, and I think our kids have really done that. I thought that the Lawrence North game really kind of showed us that the intensity level, we would start bringing that and rebound and just do things the right way, communicate, and we worked on those things. And, in the other losses, it was maybe a little something different. Like Carmel, we didn't make shots, and we needed some other kids to step up because they really challenged us by kind of doubling our big D1 kids and leaving some of those other kids open. And so, and also just maintaining some composure. I didn't think we did that very well in that game. And so we talked about that, and those are things that those kids, especially some of them individually, that you challenge them a little bit, and they've worked on that. Westfield, I honestly, oh my goodness, I have no idea. We just played really poorly. And
it's like it was like we took a night off.
Literally, as a program, that's what I mean, we got our butt kicked. I mean, our JV got pounded, our freshman team got beat. We just did not show up as a program, and that was very, very. The other ones I can live with the losses, truly, because I thought we learned from them, and it was just kind of the Westfield game was just awful, and so. It was one of those just kind of challenging kids. We have to have somebody step up, and nobody even remotely did that. And it's something that, like last night, we didn't play real well, but we had other kids say, you know what, all right, we're going to step up. And so I think we have learned from those losses, and I think that going into the sectional, that'll help us to be a better basketball team. And we've continued to develop our depth so that we don't kind of wear out our superstars. And like I said, we're getting there. I honestly think that, we play any of those teams again and we would look a lot different. And like I said, I thought we played really well against Princeton. That loss, that one didn't bug me. The only thing that bugged me about that, I'm going to sound like a big baby, is that I thought the officials were awful in that game. I thought that with the Hall of Fame, with all those superstars out there, let the game be played from both teams. I think that you just need to let teams, if it's obvious a foul, then call it. But you're not doing anything for Jackie Young at the next level to call every little foul.
Yeah.
And people want to see her play. Nobody paid $20 to watch her shoot free throws.
Yeah.
So I wish they would have let it play more like a sectional game where they're going to let you go play, and because that's what you're trying to prepare for in the Hall of Fame is to take you through the tournament. And in the tournament, they don't tend to call it real tight. So we would have liked to have had a chance just to go play physical and see what happens. But it is what it is. I mean. I thought we played well, and I liked our toughness and everything that we showed in that game.
And the one thing, Coach, over the last 2 years, the thing that I've always noticed, and I pay attention to that, we are so strong and physical. I mean, that's our game, okay? And when I look at other teams that have good players on them or they have a good record, none of them the teams are as physical and strong as our players. I mean, Alexa Shannon and Caitlin O'Reilly, they're a load to handle. When they make up their mind, they're going to go the hole.
Oh yeah, our kids work hard in the weight room, and that's all. Coach Clark, he is amazing, and I think that's what makes Noblesville so unique is the culture in our weight room, and it's not the guys are going to lift and the girls are over here, or separate weight classes. I mean, like I said, it's guys and girls together, and we're athletes, and we're going to train the same way, whether we're male or female. And that is all him and expectations, and our kids have really bought into his program, and they're strong. I would love to take credit for it, but,
yeah.
Like I said, that is all him. That is absolutely his, just his expectations of kids, and our kids work really, really hard in there. They're strong. I would put our team up physically, against any team in the state and say that we could hold our own.
Absolutely. Coach, before we go in and start talking about Mount Vernon, holy cow, I mean, we played 21 games, but we still got a pretty good schedule coming up here. Mount Vernon, 13-4, Zionsville, 11-2, Heritage Christian, 12-1, Martinsville 11-10. 11-5, and Pendleton Heights about 500 ball. And we go to Pendleton Heights. It's never easy to go to Pendleton Heights. Okay, so we still got a pretty tough schedule to help us prepare for come tournament time.
Oh, absolutely, definitely, and that's when we looked at this. We knew that it would be a challenge for our kids. Because, like I said, we're not last year's team. We have young pieces. We have a lot to put together, so we want to challenge them. So then when we get to the end, we're ready. Nothing's going to surprise us. And Martinsville's new. Heritage Christian obviously has been on the schedule, and they're loaded. And Pendleton, they're kind of a scary team. They challenged Westfield the other night and made that. They were up at halftime, I believe, on Westfield. So you just, like I said, go to Pendleton. That's always scary.
Yeah.
So definitely Mount Vernon, obviously, with the Shelton kid. They're very talented. There's nothing easy. Zionsville is certainly better. They have a lot of really good young kids. They have a big freshman that's talented, and then their sophomore point guard's really good. So definitely a good test for us.
Absolutely, and you know what? The one thing about it coming up here in Saturday's game, it's an afternoon game, but the one thing about it, you're going to be honoring those 4 seniors because they've had a remarkable career, and people are going to see maybe one of the better players in the state of Indiana in Sydney Shelton, and she's been there, done that, and as a freshman, she was a big part of that run to the state. So she's no slouch from coming playing. Talk a little bit about her and her talent because it's just unbelievable what she can do.
She is incredibly talented. She literally will shoot it, as I told my kids over and over today. She will literally shoot it as soon as she crosses half court. Like I said, you can look her YouTube video up from the sectional last year, and I think she scored 18 in the fourth quarter of their sectional game, and I think she hit 3 threes that were, between the half court and volleyball line. The kid can flat out shoot it. I remember the first time I saw her, I was over at Greenfield Central watching them play in a tournament, kind of scouting and trying to get ready for them, and I was like, my gosh, this kid's really good. She has a really quick release. She doesn't shoot like most males or females anymore. She catches and is ready to go. She doesn't need any time. It's going up. She can score off the dribble. So she's really talented. She's definitely one of the more talented kids in the state. I'm partial to ours.
Sure.
I think we definitely have 2 Indiana All-Stars as well, but I think she's a lock for the Indiana All-Star team. I think she'll probably finish in the top 5 in Miss Basketball votes. She's definitely very, very talented, and Butler's getting a good one in her, and a good kid. She's another one of those that, she just really is an outstanding person on and off the floor.
And the one thing about it, knowing Caitlin and Alexa like I do, and knowing how competitive Sydney Shelton is, they're all 3 of those kids are going to bring their game on Saturday because it's for our 2 it's senior night. Senior day, okay, and for Sydney, they've played with her for many years now against her, so it's going to be a good matchup. And it's going to be great to come out and honor these seniors on Saturday afternoon and also see great basketball players.
Absolutely. You have 3 kids that definitely, I would say all 3 should be on the Indiana All-Star team. I think that, they all 3 bring something different, and, they all played really well in the Junior All-Stars last year. So a lot of talent. Should be fun for everybody to watch, and obviously we want to honor the senior class that's been, you have to go back to the 80s with the amazing groups with Courtney Cox and all of them to really be able to kind of compare anything. This group's been really special and done some amazing things. So we would definitely want everybody to come out and support them and, honor this really awesome group of kids.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule and coming down here after practice on your birthday. Of course, that's nothing to a coach, right? It's just another day.
Seriously, it's just another day.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, we appreciate you joining us here on Noblesville Trophy Sports Talk, and I'm sure we're going to do this maybe a couple more times before sectional time because we want to let everyone know how great this ball club is because it's something special. And if you don't believe it, come out and watch them because they are a special group of kids. So we'll see you next time.